I'm Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location with the Road Theatre on Lancashire for the Los Angeles premiere of Mud Blue Sky. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Hi there, I'm Whitney Dillon.
Great, and could I have a brief bio of you?
A brief bio of me. Well, I'm an actress. I am in this show that you just saw, the Mud Blue Sky, and I'm a semi-funny person. Semi-funny. I played Sam. Sam's a little bit naughty and a little bit broken, but she's a lot of fun.
Yeah. This was actually an interesting play in the sense that not a whole lot of action happened, a whole lot of dialogue happened, though. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, we talk a lot. We have a lot to say. I think that the idea of the play is really just to allow the audience to sort of feel like they have four new friends. You know, you're sitting out watching three girls and one boy have a really fun night.
So what was the story behind doing this? Why did you decide to do it?
I love theater, and 99-seat theater is very close to my heart, and this role for me is like a dream role. This girl is fun, and she's sassy, and she's not always likable, but I really love her, and it just was really something that I wanted to do.
Yeah, I love anti-heroes and villains and all that, but people who basically, because, if you're a leading actor, you're basically going to playing yourself. I love characters who stretch out beyond themselves.
Yeah. I don't know if this was a huge stretch for me. I think I might be very close to this character, actually. I might be a little closer to this character than sometimes I'd like to be. But I'm okay with that. I think that this character is actually, I relate to her in a way that if I'd made a couple of different choices in my life, I could very much be this girl. And, I won't give away any of the secrets of the play. Maybe I wouldn't do some of the things that she does. But I think she's fun, and I think that she has a good sense of humor about things, and I think she says things the way she sees them, and I relate to that.
Again, you're not the writer to this play, but how do you think the writer came up with concepts that are so captivating, that they're just based on dialogue?
Well, the writer's a genius, and I think that, when you're a really good writer, you just figure out a way to crawl inside people's heads, and you create these amazing characters. And I know that Marissa's mother was a flight attendant, and so a lot of these ideas sort of came from that, and the genius in her writing just comes into making these stories so beautiful and real and charming.
A lot of the people who listen to my show are actually community theater actors.
Oh.
I always love asking working actors, basically, could you give them some kind of advice?
Just keep doing what you love. Just keep doing what you love. I mean, absolutely. We don't really get paid to do what we do here, but we get paid in other ways. I mean, this is something that you do because it's fun and because it feeds the beast. And doing this show has enabled me to always do theater, because doing shows like this keep you really strong. And when you do go to your auditions, you will book. You will work more. The more theater you do, the more you'll work, because you're just, sharpening your chops.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
I'm Carlisle King. I have been an actress for pretty much all of my life. I've done television, movies. I make my living as a voiceover actress. That was my voice at the beginning doing the airline page. And I've done a lot of theater all over the country. I play Beth. Beth is, I guess she's the character that drives the play, in that she's the head airline stewardess, and she's the one who meets the young kid to buy pot. And so, that's who she is.
This was an interesting one in the sense that, there was not a whole lot of action. It was more of a dialogue and just basically a bunch of storytellers.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a play about people trying to make connections, and no pun intended with the airline stuff. But you know how difficult it is in this world to actually touch somebody else and to make a contact with someone else. And I think that happens in this play with everybody in it in some way.
Basically, we're a little later in the run. Usually I don't, I try to get to the opening of a run, but the critics actually really love this play. Why is that? Well,
I think that it's not just funny, because there's a lot of funny stuff in it, but I think it's touching, and I think it's touching in, especially when you think about someone who's a little bit older and what's going to happen with your life, in terms of getting close to retirement. I don't know. I mean, it just... and it's fast. It's 90 minutes, and so I don't know. I mean, I just think it touches a lot of people in ways that they can relate to.
Probably that and a lot of good acting, right?
Well, I hope so. We hope so.
A lot of my audience is basically community theater actors. A lot of them been working for like 15 years. They don't get paid anything, and they just can't, they haven't found a break. Seeing as you've been acting so much, is there any kind of advice you can give them to help them along?
Well, the world of acting has changed a great deal since I started. I think that everybody can agree with that, especially with reality TV and stuff like that. God, I don't know. I mean, just keep at it. I mean, if you can do something else, do it, because it's a really hard way to. I mean, I'm fortunate that I make a living doing this, but if I wasn't able to make a living, would I have chosen something else? I don't know. It's a tough one.
Then, okay, here's another question for you. I always ask this also to actors. You started at such a young age. How do you know you were an actor if you started at a young age? Was it just your parents said, I want you to be an actor, or is it basically just born that way?
Oh, God, no. My parents didn't want me to be an actor. The only time my dad, I was on tour with, I don't know if you remember Paul Lynde. He was the center square and I was on tour with Paul Lynde. My dad came to see me, and I was getting paid. And so he felt better. He was like, okay, well, maybe you can make a living doing this. But they wanted me to be a lawyer. So I think it's just... as Paul would say, somebody asked him, well, how can you survive and make money and be in this business? And he goes, perseverance, so you just have to keep at it and keep doing it. So,
all right, well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you are?
Alex Smith. I'm from Arizona. I graduated at Arizona State in 2008 in theater, and I've been out in LA ever since doing the acting thing, trying to survive on my own as much as possible, and here I am. I play Jonathan. Jonathan is a high school pot dealer who meets Beth at the airport where she works. She's a flight attendant, and they've established a relationship where he's become her pot dealer. And in this scene, they've spent the longest time that they ever have together. Usually they have 5 minutes with one another, but now they have, because she owes him money and she calls him up to her room, and then the whole night ensues from there.
Basically, this play, it's actually well received by the critics, and not a whole lot happens. It's not like there's a lot of action in there. Why do you think it's why it's so well received?
I think it's just very down to earth, very real life situations. The relationships of the people are just very interesting. You have this male-female relationship that I don't think you see very often in plays, to have the older woman and the younger boy, where it's not about being a sexual relationship or something like that happening, but just real people that have real conversations. The dialogue is so great that I think people just can connect to one of the characters in a situation, say, oh yeah, I've had that happen to me, and it sucks them in that way.
Yeah, I just can't put my finger on why I like it, but I can't put my finger on why I like it.
Really, yeah. I don't know. I'm glad that you did like it.
Okay. Also, you're relatively young in this, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Fortunately, they still buy me in this role. I'll take it as long as I can. But yeah, I'm a little bit older than high school. I've been out of high school for a couple years now. But yeah, I'm playing a high schooler, and it's great just to kind of go back and revert to that character that I think we can all remember, being kind of awkward and shy and not knowing what to say in certain situations.
A lot of my listeners actually are community theater actors, and they've been working in a business for like 15 years. They get paid nothing, and they just can't they just can't find a break into it, to be a professional and all that. So what kind of advice can you give them?
Oh man, I could use some advice myself. I'm trying to break into it as much as anybody else, but whoever you work with that you respect, just ask for advice. Don't feel like you have to do it on your own. Anybody that you admire and you see what they're doing, just ask what other people are doing and really collect as much information from everybody as you can. If you can do films, student films, write your own stuff. If you're not finding what you need to do, that you're like, man, I just wish there was this role for me, make it yourself and really just make your own project as much as you can. And LA is great for that. We have theater everywhere where that people just put it up themselves, whether you need to rent a space or whatever. There's so many artists in this city that there's people willing to collaborate, and you can find right around the corner like, oh yeah, I'd love to do the costumes for this, or I'd love to edit your or whatever. And I just think if you get out there, you can find anybody that's willing to help you with anything that you want to do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Amy Tolsky, originally from Chicago, and found theater in high school. After University of Illinois, I moved to London for 13 years, and then I came here, and I've been here about 18 years. So I've probably been acting professionally for about 25, 30 years.
Okay, and, well, you really don't look like you've been acting for 25 years. You look too young for that.
Bless you, my child. My character is called Angie. She is a former flight attendant and friends with the two ladies who are in the play for the first hour. I come in late in the play. And she's basically, it's alluded that she's been fired for gaining weight. I think there's other issues as well. She's taking care of her infirm mom and has major life changes. She just went through a divorce, and she's an empty nester. Both of her kids are off doing their own thing. So she comes in and hasn't seen Beth for 2 years. They obviously had a rift, and we're not quite sure why that is. And then we find that it's probably missed connections and issues like that, and then they sort of are brought back together in this play. And she realizes how much she misses the job and misses her friends.
So why do you think this play is such a success among the critics?
Well, I think it's a very funny play, but you can't be fooled because it's very touching too. There's a lot of poignancy in here, and I think that people can relate to that. Carlisle said earlier about connections, and that's true. I mean, a lot of people, I think, are just misunderstood a lot. And this basically, when you find a work, a place of work that is a family, that kind of takes over a lot of your time and a lot of your life. And I think, like with this play, gosh, I got off on a tangent for you. Sorry. I think that they like it. I think that they like it because it's funny. It tickles their funny bone. But I think they can also relate because it's very real. It's very real. They can instantly see what's going on here. It's very funny. We've had flight attendants come, and they are just laughing, guffawing because they can totally relate. It's like with the remote and the little things in the hotel room and all the stuff they have to put up with on the plane and the seat back pocket. It's funny, but it's a touching play too.
Yeah, I actually like this play a lot.
Yeah, I think the writer, she's really good. She understands dialogue, but she also doesn't dumb down. There's a lot of poetry involved in her writing. She's really good with words, and sometimes it's hard because you have to make it seem very conversational. But there's a lot of kind of highfalutin language in there too. And then she gave me a 5-minute monologue too. So bless her. She's a strong writer. She's writing for theater, but she also does television writing. And I'm so glad that she's still immersed in the theater because we would miss her voice if she just skipped and went over to TV full time. So.
That's another question I like to ask you. I took a look at your bio. You spend a lot of time in TV. Why do you stick with the theater? Because you can make a lot more money in TV and you get a lot more fame, too.
Oh, sure. Well, the thing is, it's not like I've given up TV. I'll take TV when it's offered. But in the interim, I'm the kind of actor who doesn't necessarily want to spend my time in class all the time. I'd rather do it on the stage. It's immediate gratification. And I love the theater. That's where I started off. I didn't start it off in TV or in voiceover or film. So this is my home. It always will be. It's funny, when I was in London, I had to decide whether to go to California or New York. And my hometown is Chicago, so I could have gone there too, because that theater had exploded at that point. Steppenwolf happened and all that. And it was very exciting, but I just decided, you know what? I had a little taste of television and film there, and I thought, that's what I want to do, because I might as well try to get paid a little more. And, people do make a living in theater. Not a lot, though. Not a lot. It's a very small percentage. And I also decided I don't want to move to New York unless I was really flush. It seemed like this was a more amenable place to be. The weather's temperate, beautiful, and I just thought that's where I want to go. So that's why I ended up here. And yeah, I mean, I'll do TV, I'll do film, I'll do voiceover, commercials, whatever you throw my way. But I will always have a home in the theater. And that's why I'm so happy to be here. This is my first play with The Road. I've done several readings with them, but it's my first actual full-on production with them. So happy to be here.
So is there any advice you can give to my listeners? Because again, a lot of them are actors, and they just can't find the break that you have.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the best things to do when you first come here, or if you've been here for a while and feel like you're stuck in a rut, there's so many classes out there. There's so many workshops where you can actually meet casting directors. But I would caution them, if you take a chance like that and you pay for these workshops, which, you know, unfortunately we have to do that sometimes because we might not have an agent or whatever, and it's a way to get an agent for one, because a lot of them have agent nights too. Make sure that you've boned up on your classes, because that first impression is very important. So you want to make sure that you do a good job if you're going to put yourself out there. I would say student films are a great way to start too. If you've never been on camera, it's a different skill. It's not like that different, but you have to modulate your performance slightly. So I would say, do workshops, do improvisation, especially if you want to do commercials. Everybody requires you to do improv now. So there's several places, IO, Upright Citizens Brigade. I studied at Second City, Groundlings. So that's a great place for people to start too. And it also, people get their feet wet. They feel more comfortable, flexible, and that's good training ground. So I would say, study. Study if you're green, you're starting out, and you just want to make that next leap forward. That's the best way. And then, those student films are great. And, then you get tape on yourself, too. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Sure thing. Thank you so much.
Mud Blue Sky will be playing at the Road Theatre on Lancashire from April the 10th to June 13th. For more information, go to www.roadtheatre.org or search for AMB Theatre, that's all one word, AMB Theatre on Facebook.